Now they're reporting that Russia has now launched a full-scale attack on Ukraine, although this is still not official. But, of course, the sanctions continue, and we'll keep you updated as it goes. But everything looks quiet right now in Kiev. I mean, there are other places, though, that on the Internet at the moment we're seeing a number of fires and explosions going everywhere. So what I want to do is we're gonna get into talking about the Canadian truckers, because this is about the internal war and what's been going on in our country and in Canada, as opposed to why we're going off into places like Ukraine and others fighting their battles when the internal war is ever increasing here in the West. So let's go to Sam in Kansas. Hi, Sam. You're on Ground Zero.
Good evening, Clyde. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, too. Thank you.
What I find extremely disturbing is we're sending, well, they've already sent the 82nd Airborne there to Poland or whatever to train people to get ready for the big push.
Yeah.
And they're willing to defend their sovereign borders, but they let ours wide open.
Yeah.
And now they're calling up the National Guard for Washington, D.C., and they're putting up fences to keep the new American truck convoy out of, people that are peaceably assembling to, executing their First Amendment rights to do so.
Well, see, and that's the thing is that, the Ottawa, the Canadian Truckers' Freedom Convoy had to leave Ottawa. They didn't get Prime Minister Trudeau to reverse the COVID mandates, but you need to look at the impact and the signal here and how the idea, once again, ideas are bulletproof. You've got an idea that's growing exponentially now because we saw, it's like somebody turned the light on and the cockroaches scrambled. Did you notice that? It's what we're seeing now, is that the light's been turned on and we're seeing the cockroaches scrambling, and this is what we get. We get rumors of war in Russia and Ukraine. We get tyrannical attitudes and bust them in the chops type of diplomacy in Canada against their own people. It's like this is civil war. When a government declares war on its own people, that's a civil war. That's the act of a desperate government.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
We're willing to protect Ukraine's borders, but don't care about ours.
Yeah.
And we talk about freedom and democracy, which it isn't a democracy to begin with.
No, it's an illusion. It's been an illusion for some time. It's still an illusion. And as I said before, the increase of the new Roman Empire, the British Empire, the idea that Rome had died, but the politicians and everybody else were dancing on its corpse, kicking it for loose change, is exactly what's going on now. And like last night, we talked about the 248-year span of when Pluto returns happened, and here we are right smack dab in the middle of it. And this is I guess you could call it the come to Jesus meeting that we've all been waiting for. The lights have been turned on. The cockroaches are scrambling. Now how are we going to deal with the reality? So
they can't even intelligently support their own scenarios.
I know, and that's the thing.
One thing. It's just so much hypocrisy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, there are criminals, and I think a lot of people are catching on to this. And that doesn't make you a Putin apologist. I want to stress this. People are seeing it for what it is. It is a one big fancy false flag attempt at getting us to rally against one country as they are utilizing their ability to go in and say, okay, you guys do this as we say. But when Canada does it to the truckers, and when Biden's going to do it to our truckers come next week, everybody's going to, where does that place us? Do we want to spread that kind of democracy around the world? I think not. Let's go to Bob in Texas. Hi, Bob. You're on Ground Zero.
Hey, Clyde. Listening to you talk here the last 20 minutes, it reminds me of why I listen to you. Your discernment and your insight is not beatable, Clyde. You're the man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And it is sincere. But listen, my little point right here is that I think it's kind of obvious is that what's happening is the globalists, the Democrats, the deep state, whatever it is that they are desperate for a national emergency or a reason to call off the coming elections. They can't have elections.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know if it'll call them off, but I've speculated about that before. That what can they do to either they can make people so fed up that they won't vote, so sick that they won't vote, told to be locked down so they won't vote, or they're going to change the rules entirely. And I think they've attempted to do that many times, Bob. So you're very aware of that, I'm sure. I just don't know. I mean, if the elections were to be stopped, I think that people would become even more suspicious because that's one of the things that keeps us from having an entire revolution is that we vote. But that's the
Well,
thing, is that we came close because of this last situation and how people were doing a democracy check in Washington because of the election they thought was fraudulent.
But in my book, what choices do they have at this point?
They
Claude?
don't.
What are they
You're
going
right.
to do?
Well, you're right.
Bring the aliens out? Bring the asteroid comet threat out again? Trot that out?
I don't know. Maybe the alien invasion should be welcomed, right?
Rather, Wheeler promulgated it.
Well, I'm just saying, what else do we have? I mean, we call in the aliens, even if it is fake. Let's just get it going, get that out of the way. I don't know. I mean, I have no answers here. It's confusing.
We got to have an emergency. We got to call off the elections. It's critical.
I hope not, Bob. I hope not. Thanks for the call, though. That's a great call. Thank you.
Not everybody wants to rule the world either, Clyde. I can't imagine a worse job.
For you or for me? I don't want to rule the world. Do you?
Either. No, I can't imagine a worse job than try to rule the world.
That would
Can you
be horrible.
That'd
be horrible. I agree. That's horrible. I wouldn't want it. No. Let's go to Richard in Ohio. Hi, Richard. You're on Ground Zero.
Yeah, you mentioned why are the left after Russia so bad. My thoughts on that would be China's willing to line the politicians' pocket better than Russia.
Well, and I think, too, that, well, yeah, but, and in the same way, you could say that Putin gave the finger to the dollar. He gave the finger to the world order that took him in. And then he said, no, I don't want to play this game because I want my people to be, he's looking out for Russia. Okay.
Correct.
Any good leader is going to look out for his country. Now, that's the whole point, though. He doesn't want to play in this global plantation love fest. He was brought in to do it. He told them no. He didn't like it. And I've seen interviews with him. He's just saying a lot of things that I'm doing right now are for my people. They go against my best interests. We can't hear that, though. We can't hear that there's a politician out there that's willing to do anything for his people. And that makes him bad in essence, because he would kill for his people. He would do anything for his people. And so now,
look what they did.
What's that?
Well, look what the Obama administration did to Libya.
Well, like I'm saying, all of the things that we are seeing, and I'm learning this, and I'm sure many people are going to learn it as well. All the things that we see, the wars that we say we want to get involved with, the blowbacks that we get involved with, we make deals with these people long before they become enemies. We made deals with Saddam Hussein. We made deals with Osama bin Laden. We made deals with Muammar Gaddafi. And then all of a sudden, those three guys don't exist anymore. You make a deal with the devil, you have to pay your penance. And this is the way it is right now, what we're seeing now with Ukraine. We went in, we put in their governments. We did it like we did with Chile back in 1973. It was September 11th, 1973. We put in the puppet government there. Why? Because Pinochet didn't have the interests of America in his mind. And you had Kissinger and all the other guys that were these war criminals that were putting, thoughts into people's heads. They're still doing it today with the Project for the New American Century. Victoria Nuland is the wife of Kagan, the guy who wrote the damn manifesto. So it's this incestuous group of people that continue to want to occupy places, and then once they've gotten what they wanted out of them, they leave them for death.
Well, sure.
And that's the way, yeah.
To me, that boils down to these politicians don't care about anybody but themselves.
You're right.
I mean, look at the net worth of some of them politicians that's been in there for 20, 30 years.
How many billionaires have profited from COVID-19?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer. I'll just say a lot, okay? I'm not going to pin you down to an answer, but just remember, you have your Bezos of the world, you have the Gates of the world, all these guys tripling their billions of dollars they had coming in because of COVID-19. Rewiring our minds for lockdown, rewiring our minds for an economy that's going to go belly up. Come on, guys. I want you to pay attention to what's happening here. It's that hidden hand that Henry Wallace talked about.